hello everybody, and welcome to the first episode of what we are going to collectively and lovingly call the Damn It Mark podcast.
Damn it, Mark!
For those of you out there that are listening for the first time, welcome. Obviously, this is our first episode, so we hope you guys will come back and see us again. This is going to be a sort of everything podcast. It's in a lot of ways, at the beginning of it is going to be a remembrance of one of our best friends, but at the same time, it's also going to be us welcoming you guys into our world of all the dumb shit that we do over the years to make people laugh and to make each other laugh. So, sitting in tonight, everybody go around and identify yourselves. To my right is...
I'm Lulu.
I am Michael Hurston, a friend of Gut Wrench.
And...
I am Megan Hurston. I'm sorry.
And...
Ben Cooper, BJ from high school.
I was going to say that. We don't know Ben around here.
Frank the Tank, Frank. If you name me before that, it's Frankie.
And I am Rusty Parkhill. I'll be trying to be the master of ceremonies and try to keep us all in some semblance of order, but I can't guarantee that it happens because...
He's a master of something.
Yeah, I'm a master of something, and as ADD as we all are, we're liable to go in 400 different directions at the same time. But I thought the first thing that we might talk about tonight is, and we've got the Mark cut out here with us. But I thought that the first thing that we might bring up tonight is something that happened a couple of weeks ago, and that was that for the first time in all these years that we played pool together, we won a championship 2 weeks ago. We won it for the fourth time as a team together. We won it for the first time as a team without Mark with us, and we've all kind of told stories and laughed about it, cried about it, and I thought we'd share with you guys a little bit. And that was, I'll start it off. I don't know about you guys, but from the minute that match started, I felt his presence in the room almost from the beginning.
I know you did. I saw it.
Yeah, I mean, it was... there were times...
Just had gas.
I mean, that's probably... that's a possibility as well. But, I mean, what did you guys... did you guys kind of feel the same way? Did you feel like, as we got deeper... Like, I'll be honest, when we went over there that night, I had not expected that aspect of it to even creep in at all. I mean, I hadn't even thought about that. And then, I guess, about midway through the first match, which Michael was playing and playing very well, I just happened to look over at the back of his shirt, and we wear Mark's initials on the back of our shirts, and it just stood right out, and all of a sudden it started to kind of level on me a little bit, and it went from there.
For me, it was personal because all I could think about was all those years of playing basketball in high school at LFO, and Mark being the snowbird. Mark sitting back in the back, waiting for the pass to come to him, because he was going to finish something off, and I was going to deliver on the front end. And that's exactly what I had to do. That's what I had to fucking do because Mark expected somebody's going to deliver on the front end. If not, it's coming to him on the back end, and he's going to throw a little bitch-ass layup like he always did.
And the sad part about that, or the funny part about that really is if you look at Mark and look at the way he was built, he wasn't really built as a basketball player, but that son of a gun could shoot the eyeballs out on a basketball court.
Hell yeah, he did.
And there were many an afternoon, we got other friends that we can bring on here to talk about all that, but there were many an afternoon that we spent shooting basketball and having a good time. But I don't think that we did more of anything else than we did playing golf with Mark out on the golf course, and that itself is I'll bring BJ in real quick because I want to bring up a round of golf that we played.
Oh, yeah.
We were like 8th, 9th grade, and we went off to Tunnel Hill, Georgia. In
my mom's station wagon.
In your mom's station wagon.
Yeah.
And on the way down there, BJ, we looked over at a gas station, and what did we see?
A bus that said Hotel California. We thought it might have been the Eagles because that's Mike's favorite band.
Hate the Eagles. It's been a hard day. It's been a rough day, and I hate the fucking Eagles.
But we watched them go in. We walked back there, and I think it was you that saw Gene Simmons at the.
Yeah.
He goes, hey, that's Gene Simmons reading a Truck Parts magazine back there. I was like, what? He goes, it is. He had those zebra skin boots on. And they walked up, and we met him, Paul Stanley,
and Eric Carr.
Yeah, Eric Carr was there. Told us jokes.
Yeah.
Remember the cactus guy?
Yeah.
The little truck driver thing with a cactus in his pants. And we laughed. We counted like probably 20 or 30 girls on that.
Oh, every bit of, yeah.
Yeah, and it was, there was no cell phones or anything there.
No.
We lived
No
there.
cameras, you didn't keep one with you at all
Put their arms
times.
around us, talking and cutting up and all, and then we left, and that's when Mark he fucked that golf cart all this shit.
I will never forget watching them.
He ripped almost the whole rear. Well, first off, Tanner hit me with a golf ball.
No, I hit you with a golf ball.
At least twice. I got knocked out of the golf cart, and then we're going back up, and we're like racing down the fairway. Mark takes a right and hits a ditch, and the cart just goes. It comes out, and the whole rear end's about out of the golf cart. So we push it, like, with my golf cart back up to the top. And we're like, thanks, we had a great time. We're all running for the car. And Mark's like, just push it up, just leave it. Push it up, leave it.
It wobbled itself back to the front, which was,
hilarious.
yeah, that's a fun one. And I'll tell one more on him on the golf course.
Before we get
go
to
ahead.
that,
Go
let me
ahead.
go ahead and say Eric Carr was the guy that did Crazy Nights for Kiss.
Yes.
He was not the guy that did all the original stuff for Kiss.
No, that's
So Crazy
Peter Criss.
Crazy Nights.
That's true.
Fantastic. He was an okay guitarist, but like Ace Frehley,
No, drummer.
was not in that conversation. 'Cause
Eric
Ace
Carr was a-
already out.
And he was
Eric Carr was a
yeah.
drummer.
No,
Yeah, Eric Carr was a drummer that died of leukemia a few years after that. Because after we saw him about 2 years later is when he passed. You're thinking of
Well, then I'm fucking wrong.
you're thinking of Mark St. John. That's all right, shit, man. It is what it is. So I will bring one up.
Zero's kicking
Get that Coke
ass.
Zero's
That's what
kicking
it
in
is.
right now. That Coke
Not
and
the
you're
Jack Daniels.
no, absolutely not.
Fucking with my sugar. Sorry,
A
guys.
few years ago, a few years later, Mark and I were at those of you out there that remember playing High Point back in the day when High Point was still open, and sadly,
Nine
that
holes of heaven.
Yep, and sadly, that's a 9-hole golf course that we've lost years ago. All the Gillies passed away, and the family finally sold the land, and that was a great little track.
I don't even know what it
But
is now.
it's just land. If you get in there now, it's just
All it
land.
was was a fucking
Oh,
poker.
it was-
I'd,
it was
I'd love to see somebody.
It was
Yeah.
poker table. It was not about the golf course.
Yeah,
It was
I would
just about
love.
poker.
I'd love to see somebody buy it and make it like a
awesome, yeah.
practice facility type of
That would be
place.
amazing.
You know, there's a place in Myrtle Beach called Tupelo Bay that's a lot like that. Has like a little pitch and putt course. Has a little 9-hole executive course. You know, that's what we need. You know, something like that would be.
Maybe we could call it bottom golf instead of
We could.
golf. We just
I
call it
mean,
bottom golf.
I'm just saying we could buy it and call it rollers golf for that matter. But
As many catfish are dying in the fucking Tennessee River right now, we could call it bottom golf
but
and say it's dedicated to those damn catfish that have died and given their souls to golf.
to golf. So Mark and I were on that golf course one afternoon, and we were on the 7th hole, which is the par 4 that went down towards the creek. And in the background, we could hear this kind of clippity clop sound happening. And those of you that knew Mark know that he did not like large animals of any kind, and horses were really high on that list. And Mark and I were standing on the green, and a horse came clopping down the fairway.
Wild horse.
And he turned around and saw it, and he about had a heart attack, and it walked all the way up onto the green and stood nose to nose with him, and I thought he was going to piss on himself. And he stood really, really still, and finally the horse turned and went the other way, and a few minutes later a farmer rolls up on a horse, and he's like, "You guys see a horse?" yeah, it went that way.
It's like a bear. Don't move.
Yeah, I mean,
He was not putting with a Scotty Cameron at the
only at High Point will you see something like that in those days. But you know, we're not going to spend this whole entire podcast talking about our buddy. This is kind of the reason that we got everybody on here, was because it would be fun to be memorable about him sometimes. But I also thought it would be fun to kind of invite you guys into some of the conversations that we have when we go to pool league, when we hang out together here at the house and we're practicing and things like that. Not necessarily the unedited versions.
Please don't
but
let your children.
Go ahead, Frankie.
big balls.
Sweaty ball.
Sweaty balls.
Sweaty.
Everybody likes to see my.
Everybody likes it.
So my favorite thing about this season was the last time that we played pool with Mark in full session.
Is that the brew?
No, it was CBC downtown, and
Yeah, because he didn't play the brew with us those last couple times.
absolutely.
That's right, he did the one,
You could've played one with us,
He
yeah.
did,
but not much. Not
but
much.
he didn't play
He
the
wasn't there all the
whole.
time.
Yeah.
He didn't play the whole session.
He was
but
getting sick at that time.
He
Talking
did
about
our
commitment.
third session. He played the whole season. He was up every week, and my favorite full circle moment was that last session that he played with us, start to finish. He basically carried me mentally and emotionally through the playoffs and trophies, because I played probably the worst that I had ever played, and I was very upset.
Not true.
I was very upset, and after my match, he came over, and I was sitting in a corner sulking, and he came over and he picked me up and gave me the biggest hug, and he said, "I got you."
Bear hug.
Big time bear hug. And he just grabbed me up and he said, "I got you." And then he proceeded to spank that ass.
Yeah, we will not identify the player that he did. No, we will not.
Your ass.
No,
Directly
not my ass. No, not my ass.
Prominent in Chattanooga.
Yeah, let's say very prominent player.
Yes.
Mark.
He just baffled him for an entire match. He played defense nonstop the entire match.
And he told me,
He knew how to close.
and he won that match, and that was it. Like, he closed it out, and after he was done, he came, grabbed me up, and he said, "I told you I got your back." And we proceeded to take pictures with trophies.
He was grew up, but that's just how he was.
He was, but that's why I loved him. And then this session, it's the first session that we completed start to finish without him. And I had the opportunity to close it out, and actually was able to execute
Way to go, Meg.
in the end, which was awesome. But again, Rusty, I felt like, he was right there with me, and instead of being asshole Mark, he was holding my shoulders and saying, "You got this," and
that's
calm down.
That's the beauty of people that knew him. There was two different people. There was the inner circle, and there was the outer circle. And those of us that were lucky enough to be in the inner circle know what it was like, because, when guard was completely down and he was just relaxed and talking to you, there wasn't many people in this world more loving and more fun to be around, because he was just a big old teddy bear. Now, he could also be the biggest jackass that ever drawed breath.
That's true. He
I
still
love
owes
him.
me $100.
He still owes you $100, and I was about to get to that.
He still owes me $100.
A few years ago, we decided
Never
on
let it go.
a Saturday, Meg and Michael and myself and Chrissy and the kids, we decided we're going to make our way down to Atlanta, and we decided to go to the College Football Hall of Fame. And Mark, there's a little area down in the bottom of it where you can try to kick a field goal.
Mark decided to run his mouth.
Mark decided to run that mouth and told Meg that he'd give her $100 if she could kick a field goal. And Meg not only kicked one, but she proceeded to kick two.
And I still don't have my $100.
But that's all right.
But that's all right.
But
that face on the stick, he's like, "Man, no."
That's right. No, you do not. No, you don't. And that, on the way home, if y'all remember that, we stopped off and had lunch at the Varsity. And him and Joe decided that it was a good idea to try the pimento cheese hack at the Varsity, which is, if you don't know, that you can ask them at the Varsity, and they will give you your chili dogs with pimento cheese instead of shredded cheese. And so the boys had their chili cheese dogs with pimento cheese.
That sounds good to me.
Yeah, Mark called me like 2 or 3 hours later. He's like, "Dude, that was awful."
Yeah. That's horrible.
That's not a good idea.
No. But,
Not a good idea.
well, and again, y'all, I mean, over the years, we could sit here for literally hours and tell funny stories about this, that, and the other, and as the show goes on, obviously we will get to that, and I'll go ahead and throw it out there now. Anybody out there that's looking for cheap sponsorship opportunities, we're available. We may make some Damn It Mark podcast t-shirts and stuff before it's over with. I mean, Jameson, Jack Daniels. If we got a liquor store in town, liquor store in town that would like to sponsor us, and just I think what we need to do one of these nights is, Lex and Terry used to do this thing called Harry Pothead, where they would get guys stoned and they would read Harry Potter. I think we need to come up with something like that of our own. We'll come up with our own idea.
Well, we do have a Chattanooga whiskey in town.
That is true. That is true.
In my liquor cabinet.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just make sure that
Can
we...
they get Michael drunk, though?
No, but if it can, I know some things that can take care of Michael.
Oh,
Long as you don't let him near the fire.
That is true.
Yes.
Let him decide when you're going to bed.
There is a fire close to the microphone right now, and I could definitely walk in that.
No.
Why is that no? I don't understand why that's no.
So we were talking about how Mark was gruff and then loving all at the same time. You know, I remember when. So you remember the first time I saw him at Pool League?
Yeah.
He walked up and I was like, "You don't know who I am?" He's like, "No." He's like, "Shit, something's wrong." He's like, "You don't. You look like that and I look like this." I was like, "No, it's all good." You know, we laugh. But I would play and he would be like, I'd say, "Man, I'm doing bad." He would just go, "Quit sucking."
Yeah.
Just quit sucking.
Yeah.
And then when I had my heart attack,
That sounds like him.
one of the first phone calls I got, I was like, "Who is this?" And I answered it, and he goes, "Heard you trying to beat me with a punch." I was like, "No, I'm not." And we talked for a while, you know, but it was a heartfelt call to see how it was. And I was like, "Man, that's cool." You know.
He had this magic ability of being able to wind up in the right place at the right time when you least expected it. And you know, when I got sick, when I lost my kidneys, I was in the hospital, laying in a hospital bed, and my room phone rang, not my cell phone. My room phone rang.
Boom on the road.
I picked that phone up, and it's Mark, and it's like, "Hey man, what's going on?" I hadn't talked to him at that time. We had gone, you know, and we would go and we all have over the years. We've all gone our spells of a year or two or three or whatever that we didn't talk to each other.
LFO class of '93.
Yeah. And we had gone a few years and not spoke, and all of a sudden, you know, there he was, and I mean, that's just. But that's our friend group, you know. Like I will, you know, and it ain't gonna break, you know, it's not gonna break his heart or make him mad for me to out him in this way. But you know, Frank, every week from the time I got sick, even past transplant, even afterwards, Frank didn't go a week that he didn't call me. At least once, and sometimes twice.
Always solid. That's just.
Hey man, just checking in. Y'all need anything? Just want to say hello. You know, checking in on you. That's friendship. That's, you know, I know we get sentimental a lot of times, especially late in the night when we get really drunk. But we get sentimental a lot of times, and we have these conversations. But you know, this is something.
Right now,
Well, you know,
I'm sorry.
Just something recent. You know.
Go ahead, Frankie.
Go ahead, Frank.
I'm sorry. What? Rusty who?
Yeah. Yeah. No.
So my first Mark McKinnon is down there at Kennesaw State. Won the team. We absolutely won 3 trophies.
There you go.
We went to cities.
Dear God.
2 of them sit over there on that on that shelf.
And we almost went to Vegas, but we missed the 8. We were on the 8.
I think we're shooting for Vegas this
We
year.
did not play or shoot or talk about pool for 3 months, 6 months. We couldn't.
It hurts.
I came back to Chattanooga, had Jenny, awesome. Formed a team, and then I left.
Yeah.
The team that we have now is the team I love. And Mark stepped right up, filled the gap. It's fucking phenomenal.
Yep.
Not phenomenal, but fucking phenomenal.
Well, you know, you think about that, like
He drove up from Atlanta to be in Chattanooga, Tennessee.
or I went and got him.
Yeah.
You know, because I was still,
Either way.
I wasn't back
We could
working.
do that at the brewery.
I wasn't working yet. I'd go get him. You know,
And you won 3
we won 3
sessions.
sessions.
3 years.
We won 2 in a row, 3 out of 4, and we actually we made the finals 5 straight sessions, and the 2 that we didn't win, we finished second.
Thank you,
So-
Mark.
And we're back now, right?
That's right.
High fives
Back now.
around. High fives around.
Yeah, 5s all the way around.
He does.
Everybody knows what the
He's a
fuck
godfather.
Mark did.
Well, I mean, you know, it's funny. You look at the nucleus of where it all came from. You know, Frank and I started playing together. You know, Frank called me to get me out because I needed to do something. I wasn't doing anything. I was literally less than a year out of transplant. I was
think
bored to
that's when I
tears.
first met you guys.
It was when you first met us.
Yeah.
And, you know, Frank got me out. We started playing down at CBC. We're down there one Thursday night. all of a sudden we look up. Here walks in Mike and Meg. Meg was going to play on somebody else's team. Michael just happened to be with us. Michael and I made eye contact from across the room.
Did not want to play.
And he did not want to play at all. She was playing on Skip's
I was
team.
playing on Skip's team.
And
Wasn't trying to get on.
no. And then we sat down and started talking, and it was like we never missed each other. Michael and I went over to the side, and he said, "Come here. We're gonna go over here and we're gonna play a little bit." And I said, "Okay." And we went over there, and I put quarters in. Michael runs all the way down to the 8-ball, and he goes, "I'm not gonna make this 8-ball." He said, "I'm gonna hand you the ball, and I'm gonna tell you what to shoot, and you're gonna run this rack completely out in one turn." And I said, "No, I can't do that." And he said, "Bullshit, you can. Listen to everything I say." And I did exactly what he
Don't
said.
remember that shit.
He's always a
but
good.
it's
He's always
cool.
good. He's always a good
Sounds
coach. though.
familiar. Sounds familiar.
And that was the beginnings of it. It was, who else can we call? And of course, I wish Lori was here right now, but Lori was one of the first calls that we made. Scott, there was, Frank's laughing. There was,
I stumbled into it just like you did. I walked into the bar to play with somebody. I walked in to play with his brother-in-law.
he came in to play with my brother-in-law, and we were like, "Nah, you don't need to play with him. Just come play with us." I mean,
So much fun.
well, yeah, and I mean, it's just something there that other teams do not have, and we have.
Well, you saying that though, take a moment and realize that there's so many people that don't have what we have right here, because the majority of us here have been friends for. I'm almost 50, right? And
We all are,
We were
man.
in junior high, right? So
Yeah,
we're all.
yeah.
So we're talking about 30, 40 plus years of friendships that haven't changed. We all still hang out.
Yeah.
We still do everything together, and we vacation together.
Yeah.
We go.
And now we're passing that stuff down to the second generation.
Yeah.
You think about it. We are. The girls are 14 and 15, and in 6 or 7 short years,
They're gonna be doing their own thing.
we may have them. We may be at a point where they're playing with us.
I just really want them to drive so we can drink.
That's true.
We got learner's license working on Aubrey.
She just needs to have an adult with her.
That could
Just have an adult in the
soon.
car. It's all good.
We have one licensed driver already. We got
Yeah,
2 more that are
that's
coming right
right.
behind him. So we're getting there.
Licensed drivers coming in.
Well, I'll tell you what, for somebody who did not grow up with you guys, but was welcomed with open arms, and it was my job to not mess it up. But
You weren't going to mess anything up.
Can't mess it up.
but this really, to me, is this is family. This is
No, I agree.
people who are there in the hardest of moments and the most fun moments, but this is what it's about.
And
It's
Tammy
about
says the same thing. Cause
yeah.
and the people that are listening probably don't know. We've played 4 or 5 sessions where we've had to stop because of medical. Where you were sick, I had a heart attack.
Yeah.
Chrissy had cancer. Tammy had cancer. We've had to just stop and start, and start. And this was really our session to come back.
And all in the middle of COVID.
Yeah, and we just
try and take care of each
just
other.
made it happen. And,
Well,
and
I mean-
Tammy says the same thing like you said. She's like, your friends have just brought me into the whole.
Y'all think about it in the terms of in the last, I don't know, let's say the last 5 or 6 years that we've all been back together pretty regularly.
Yeah.
We've faced funerals, we've faced weddings, we have seen graduations, we have seen, we've gone to concerts, ball games, swim meets. We've taken trips together. We have gone to Dollywood. We've done everything that a big giant family does, and that's something that we get to do that a lot of people. That's why we call it family vacation. That's why we we refer to ourselves as the extended family. But well, guys, I'm gonna stop it there because we're kicking it in around 25 minutes or so, and we may extend it out a little bit further on the next time. But I wanted to use this as a little bit of a test session to see if we could do anything besides just sit here and ramble, and we did, and it went exactly as the way I expected it to go. So those of you out there that are finding us for the first time, tune back in because we'll try to do this at least least once every couple of weeks when we are all together, because we have a ball with it. And maybe next time we'll be a little more structured than we are this time.
Probably not,
But we
but-
thank probably not, because that's what exactly.
But if you enjoy that, keep listening.
Yeah, exactly. We thank you guys for
You know what?
taking the time with us, and
I'm gonna drink more Jack next time.
I'm gonna take us out to one of Mark's favorite bands, one of my favorite bands, and it's his Fish.
The rule is, if you're going to listen, you got to grab a beer and sit down.
That's right. If you're gonna listen with us, grab a beer and drink with us.
Great rule.
We'll see you guys the next time. We love y'all.
Folks.
Check you later.